Leadership in the age of Industry 4.0. As Industry 4.0 continues to reshape the world in which we live and work, business leaders are adapting to the changes it is causing. In the Fourth Industrial Revolution, leaders appear more knowledgeable about Industry 4.0 and its implications for their organization. But with that knowledge comes a greater awareness of how quickly things are changing, how companies must act today to remain successful into the future, and how a leader should be at the age of Industry 4.0. In a world of right now, leaders today must be innovative, driven, and forward-thinking in the rapidly changing market. That's why they ought to continue to positively affect society, shape business strategy, utilize 4.0 knowledge, and manage talent and workforce needs. Sheryl Sandberg, currently COO of Facebook, has spent most of her career facing stereotypes about women in leadership roles and developing her leadership styles. Many years from now, Sandberg will likely be seen as a woman who led the drive for extreme change in the number of women in leadership roles. Who is Sheryl Sandberg? By education, Sheryl is a student of Harvard Business School with highest distinction in MBA. She started her career as research assistant at the World Bank in 1991 and moved on to work as management consultant with McKinsey & Company. From 1996 to 2001, she again worked for Larry Summers, who was then serving as the United States Secretary of the Treasury under President Bill Clinton. She later joined Google, where she was responsible for online sales of Google's advertising and publishing products as well as for sales operations of Google's consumer products and Google Book Search between 2001 and 2008. During her time at Google, she grew the ad and sales team from 4 people to 4,000. She was appointed Vice President of Operations and Global Online Sales. However, after nearly 7 years at Google, Sheryl was ready for a new challenge. After leaving Google and becoming COO of Facebook in 2008, at the age of 38, she was still too young for this position. Since joining Facebook, Sheryl has transformed the company from a social networking site with the notion of doing interesting things and profits to shifting to more focus on global sales and markets. Thanks to Sheryl's help, Facebook started to make a lot of money in 2010, and in 2012, she was elected to the company's executive board. Within 3 years, Facebook grew from 130 employees to 250 people and from 70 million users to 700 million users worldwide. With this great leadership style in Facebook, can Sheryl become a leader with effective leadership in the Industry 4.0, which is reshaping the world in which we live and work? After many researches, there are 4 special personas of leaders in the 4.0 industry who are finding ways to adapt to the rapid changes in technology, society, workforces. They are disruption drivers, data-driven decisives, talent champions, and social supers. Let's check Sheryl's leadership styles with these personas. 1. Disruption drivers. In Industry 4.0, a leader must be a visionary person for the transformation to be achieved in each process or scenario. An individual who can think through, evaluate, and look beyond can accomplish success for self and organization. When Sheryl Sandberg had to leave Google, and join Facebook, which was only 550 people in 2008, she was confident on the move as she had the vision to strengthen the organization and ways of hiring people. In her words, you should always have several people who could succeed you, and then several people who can succeed them, so that you're prepared for future challenges. Fortune, September 2015. Further, her experience in online marketing in Google has provided her insights into the progress of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg had built the Zuckerberg-Sandberg model. The model had solved that problem. It leaves the entrepreneur as the ultimate authority, ensuring the company stays true to its founding vision and marries it with superlative business execution. As a result, Marc Andreessen, a Facebook board member and co-founder of the venture capital powerhouse Andreessen Horowitz, says, her name has become a job title. Every company we work with wants a Sheryl. I keep explaining to people that we haven't yet figured out how to clone her. And that proves that Sandberg's vision to strengthen the organization and ways of hiring people worked efficiently. Moreover, we live in Industry 4.0, the Internet plays an important role in real life and extremely impacts our mindset. Bad news can lead to a huge amount of criticism. As a leader, you must learn to deal with criticism. When you have a big vision, there will be people who will be against you or criticize what you are doing. However, the criticism doesn't matter if your ideas and actions can lead to a positive change. In 2018, Facebook was stuck in a big scandal. It was a data leak in early 2018 whereby millions of Facebook users' personal data was harvested without consent by Cambridge Analytica, predominantly to be used for political advertising. It is the largest known leak in Facebook history. In this bad situation, Sheryl totally admitted the fault of Facebook in personal information protection. Facebook Inc. hasn't done enough to protect its users, and needs to improve itself to regain public trust. I and everyone at Facebook understand and accept the deep responsibility we have. We have acknowledged our mistakes, she said. We are listening, we are learning, and we are making progress. Sheryl said Facebook had turned its attention to some areas of improvement, for instance, investing in safety and security, deleting fake accounts and fake information. Especially, she said Facebook was spending billions of dollars per year on security, with more than 30,000 people working on security-related projects alone. Sheryl cared about actions which we use to solve the problem rather than the avoidance of responsibilities. She is not only concerned about the long-term strategy but also the short-run plan. Short-run plan, it's not about what you accomplish, especially in the early days. It's about what you help other people accomplish and about what you learn. You invest in yourself. You invest in the success of your company. If you try to plan out your career, it's going to be boring. You're going to miss all the good stuff because all the good stuff hasn't been invented yet, says Sandberg. And if she had done so, she would have missed the opportunities at Google and Facebook altogether. A clear vision as well as ability to deal with criticism are main features for the disruption drivers in Leadership 4.0 who present leadership characteristics that can position their organizations for long-term success. So Sheryl with this characteristic can totally become a leader leading the employees to achieve the organization's mission with specific and clear strategies in today's rapidly changing markets. 2. Data-driven decisives. Now, technology becomes an even bigger part of all our lives, the risks, and the costs of those risks, grow. When everyone has a voice, some people raise their voices in hatred. When everyone can share, some share lies. When everyone can organize, some organize against the things we value most. And to all the future leaders in tech, and that's you, know that you have a chance to right wrongs, not reinforce them. Tech institutions can be some of the strongest voices for progress in the workplace, but we can always do better. Sheryl Sandberg admitted the technology today are real. I don't want to downplay them or minimize them. We have a responsibility to get this right, but it's worth thinking about this from a historical context. They're real today because we're connecting billions of people. The challenge is big, but it is a challenge that comes with every new technology. Our responsibility and our opportunity is to minimize that. As she recounted her own path, Sheryl Sandberg told the 2,800 graduates, their families, and guests gathered at Killian Court that technology needs a human heartbeat in order to solve the world's greatest challenges. Besides that, Facebook constantly develops, improves the professional and technological qualifications of employees. Sheryl Sandberg together with Mark Zuckerberg's use of pace-setting leadership is demonstrated by Facebook employees' experiences as they enter the company. The purpose of this activity is to find employees for the company, innovate and push forward progress, and then they pushes their employees to think faster, solve harder problems, and do better. 3. Talent champions. Today's leaders must constantly focus on the growth of their teams and strengthening the capabilities of individuals that can make the team more effective. This creates an environment of continuous innovation and initiative. Sheryl follows a transformational leadership style which is to establish connection with people at an individual level. This increases motivation among the people she works with. As reported in Forbes magazine, when Sheryl Sandberg started as Facebook's COO, she went to hundreds of people's desks and interrupted their work and said, "Hi, I'm Sheryl." She then asked lots of questions and listened. She asked personally what they want to see change in the organization. She learned about their expectations and supported them. As a leader, she likes to act human and show vulnerability, and that way she can connect to more people. Another powerful quality of Sheryl is that she can influence people. Influencing people in their choices, decision-making or their personal lives is one of the important traits that a leader can exhibit. Coming down from the high stage and socializing with the other makes her more human, and that helps people around her to work harder and live by her example. So, in that way, Cheryl can understand what employees need, what really is their talent, and match their talent with the skills gap to meet the company's strategy. She knows and embraces the opportunity to extensively train and develop the existing talent employees. She is confident of having the correct workforce composition for the company and can overcome difficulties in the future. Recently, in the survey conducted by the anonymous work chat app Blind on thousands of tech workers, including a smaller pool of Facebook employees, and asked them, should Sheryl Sandberg remain COO of Facebook, after a scandal in 2018. More than 70% of the 595 Facebook employees who answered the question said, yes. That sentiment runs against wider industry feelings. More than 6,300 employees in the wider tech sector answered the question, and 55% said Sandberg should lose her job. So, you can see that Facebook employees remain loyal to Sheryl Sandberg and overwhelmingly feel she should not be fired from the company over recent scandals because of the values she made for the company as well as the employees. Sheryl makes everybody trust her and creates a fair workplace. In that way, Cheryl totally becomes a talent champion who is further along than their peers in preparing their workforces for the future. 4. Social supers. How about a social super in the 4.0 industry? Is Cheryl doing well? Sheryl Sandberg has been a darling of the tech industry not only as one of the few high-profile, successful women in Silicon Valley, but also for her philosophies towards work, outlined in her book, Lean In, and grief, after losing her husband David Goldberg. Cheryl published her book titled Lean In and officially launched Lean In, a nonprofit organization aimed at creating a global community that encourages women to continue to be active and ambitious in their careers even as they start families. Cheryl had mentioned these women's issues in a TED Talk video, Why We Have Too Few Women Leaders, in 2010.
You're in this room today, most of us grew up in a world where we have basic civil rights, and amazingly, we still live in a world where some women don't have them. But all that aside, we still have a problem, and it's a real problem. And the problem is this: women are not making it to the top of any profession anywhere in the world. The numbers tell the story quite clearly. 190 heads of state, 9 are women. Of all the people in parliament in the world, 13% are women. In the corporate sector, women at the top, C-level jobs, board seats, tops out at 15–16%. The numbers have not moved since 2002 and are going in the wrong direction. And even in the nonprofit world, a world we sometimes think of as being led by more women, women at the top, 20%. We also have another problem, which is that women face harder choices between professional success and personal fulfillment.
Sandberg values ambition and personal fulfillment so highly that she hopes to use the Lean In movement to help others overcome their fears and succeed too. All the profits from the book sales will go into leanin.org, and Sandberg has also contributed her own funds to the organization. The whole concept of the book and movement is to encourage fellow female professionals to lean in to their goals and achieve. She describes lean.org as a global community where people can talk openly about pay for women, work-life balance and various issues. Lean In book is a social product of Cheryl which has great impacts on women's society and create revenues to maintain the community. Women need to shift from thinking, I'm not ready to do that, to thinking, I want to do that and I'll learn by doing it. Cheryl said. This just proves that Cheryl is a woman, with responsibilities. It is possible to balance personal and professional lives, truly an inspiration to the women. Many women are inspired to take up challenges and introspect and improve their lives, for good. Cheryl has demonstrated the unconditional love that one needs to embrace. Indeed, Cheryl has enormous impacts on society, especially women in the world. She created a community in which women are supported and inspired to assert yourself to the world. So, Cheryl has developed her skills and mindset as a social super in 4.0. She makes an effort to make the world better with her societal impacts. We think this is the characteristic which makes Cheryl succeed as today. because she has been aware of her rights as well as the women's rights to be leaders and successful women in the world. It makes her try every day to assert herself in the business, in her life and in the world. Especially inspiring and protecting other women. Due to the fourth digital revolution, organizations ought to deal with changes in their ways of working in regards to technology, overall structure and strategies. On the other hand, it can lead to new opportunities, processes, and high-performing teams if they play their cards right. It is important for the next generation of leaders to develop the relevant knowledge and skills that will help them evolve into a digitally transformed leader. Leadership isn't a cookie-cutter word. The term doesn't only refer to men. And leadership takes courage. Being able to influence change involves taking time to understand one's personal values, processing feelings effectively, efficiently working in teams, communicating openly and being persistent in seeking growth. These are qualities everyone is capable of attaining. Leadership is not outside of any person's grasp. In Sandberg's words, the question is, what would you do if you weren't afraid?